Hey guys, this is Nazar here with Provident Real Estate. I'm here with the Mayor Joe Tessari, and we are live here interviewing, getting to know him a little bit more. Oh, for the love.
Get a phone call.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's a good sign.
Got a phone call, not good. Anyway, we're here to interview him and just get to know him a little bit better. And if you have any additional questions, you can post it there. We'll try to get to it, but I've got a set of questions here I'm going to ask him, and we'll go from there. So how you doing, Joe?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. So Joe, before we get into the actual questions, why don't you just tell us a little bit about Joe and where you grew up and just tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Well, I was raised in southwestern Pennsylvania, southeast of Pittsburgh. And the reason I ended up in California was I joined the Marine Corps and got stationed at Camp Pendleton. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I decided to stay here in California, and currently I work for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And my second job, obviously, is being a council member and the current mayor of our illustrious city of Eastvale. I'm married. We got 3 kids. 2 of them are graduating college this year. One of them's a junior at Roosevelt High School. My wife works for the school district. She's the new STEM secretary.
Okay, awesome.
So she loves it, and I'm sure she's going to do an excellent job.
Awesome. When's that going to come out?
Well, it's under construction right now. If you drive back behind Roosevelt High School,
Yeah.
they've already broken ground, and it's well on the way. So the first building should be, well, I don't want to get ahead of any of the school district personnel or the board members, but I believe maybe by the end of 2018.
Oh, really? So is it gonna are they gonna start the STEM program? I heard they're gonna start it.
Oh, it's
next
already
year.
started.
Okay, it's already started. Okay, great.
Yep, I think they have over 200 kids already.
Awesome, enrolled.
Mm-hmm.
But just the actual building will be out sometime next year.
Correct, yeah, they'll be doing classes at the high school
Until
until the building's ready.
Okay, very good. So tell us something that that no one else knows about you. Something that you enjoy doing, or what do you do in your time off aside from interviewing with realtors?
Well, my wife and I like to travel. We don't get to do it enough, but that's one of the things we like to do, and we hang out together.
Okay. So what do you do? What's one of the fun places you've been to?
Italy.
Italy?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
best place. Virgin Islands.
Do you have any family back in Italy?
I do.
You do? Okay, so you go
Yeah.
visit them and...
Yes. Well, I've been able to visit them, fortunate enough to visit them a couple of times, and a few times they've been here to the States. But
Okay.
yeah, my grandfather was born in Brazil after they tried to get here, a long time ago. Whenever he was, when my great-grandparents tried to immigrate to the United States, they couldn't get in, so they went to Brazil. My grandfather was born there.
Okay.
Later on, they went back to Italy. He ended up getting married and coming to the United States. Some of my aunts and uncles were born in Italy, but my dad was born here. So
Okay.
that's how we ended up in the United States.
Okay. And so they went to the East Coast first and then...
Yeah, and that's why I'm in California, because of the Marine Corps.
Sure.
Most of my family's back east, Ohio and Pennsylvania.
Okay. Awesome. So you like to travel? Anything else? Any other hobbies that you have?
Well, I'm the president of the Kiwanis Club.
Okay.
So we actually have a ring doorbell event on June 10th. So I believe the times on that is 9 to 2. So it'll be at the Bootsma Ranch.
Okay.
So if you want to get discounted pricing and help keep the community safe by making your home safe,
Yeah.
come out and get some products.
Awesome. Very good. All right. Well, let's unless there's anything else you want to say, let's get to the questions.
I'm ready.
All right. Sounds good. All right. So we asked people in the community what questions they had for the mayor, and these are the questions that they came up with. So I'll go and start reading them off. They said, okay, so now that the SB 130 has passed, right? Now we've got the vehicle funding back. When do we expect to get that money, and then when, or what does the city plan on doing with that money?
Well, let's go back to, let's do a little history. When we incorporated back in 2010, there was obviously a feasibility study. There was work that was done to say, hey, this area, we could survive as a city, that we have, the economic viability is there. to fund us. The vehicle licensing fee money, which amounted to close to $3 million a year, was calculated into that. But a year later, the governor pulled away, he took away the vehicle licensing fee money. So automatically we started $3 million shorter than what we anticipated. So for the last 5 years, we've been trying. Senator Roth's been working really hard. Submitted several pieces of legislation that passed and were ultimately vetoed by the governor. So part of SB 1, which just passed and raised our gas taxes. There was a trailer bill with 130, which the governor said he would sign if he got everybody on board to sign SB or to vote for SB 1. So he ultimately came, I guess it was last week, he was in Harupa Valley, came down here and signed 130, and we're going to receive our vehicle licensing money. We don't expect to get it until next year.
Okay.
That's when we'll start seeing it. And what's done with it, obviously it's not up to me, it's what we as a council ends up deciding. Obviously we want to increase our law enforcement budget, so that's one of the primary things I want to focus on, is improving that.
Do you know what our overall law enforcement budget is?
Right now we spend, if I remember correctly, it's about $7.5 million every year. That's
Okay.
what our current budget is for law enforcement.
Gotcha. And so you're thinking that a part of that $3 million would go more towards
yes.
that? Okay. Which obviously would include more hours,
Mm-hmm.
possibly more.
Yeah,
cops on the
currently
streets.
we're at 90 hours.
Okay.
We went from 80 to 90 hours in the last budget,
Okay.
and I'm hoping we can go from 90 to 100.
Okay.
So at least.
Okay.
And there may be some other things we can do. I'm sure that we'll explore maybe adding another motor officer.
Okay.
I don't know if you've noticed, but we have a few cameras around the city.
I have.
Yeah,
Next to the high school, I saw a couple there.
There's actually 3 of them.
Okay.
There's one there. There's one down by Schleisman and Archibald. And I don't recall where the other one is. I know we move them around periodically because they are mobile. But I'd like to add a few more of those.
And what do those do?
They're just on a continuous recording loop.
Okay.
And obviously they can be used for public works. If there's some issue, they can be accessed remotely, so they can see live what's going on, or they can go back and look at any incidents that may have occurred. And it can also be used to help out law enforcement for investigations. I can just tell you personally, I live across from the high school, and we used to have a lot of graffiti. As soon as the camera went up,
It stopped?
it stopped. So
Nice.
it's already acted as a deterrent that I can realize personally. So I'd like to get a few more.
Okay. What's the overall city budget that we have?
That's about $15 million.
15.
Yeah.
Okay, so 3%, or, $3 million was a significant part of that then.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so it was a big chunk that was taken out.
Mhm.
We've survived, but now we'll get that money back, and so we can actually
Right.
employ that.
Yeah, we're really fortunate that we've been able to do as well as we have, even
Okay.
with suffering that shortfall.
Okay, and then what is our projected income based on, the Amazon, or not Amazon, but Costco and Walmart coming in? Is that going to be a huge?
It's definitely going to be a shot in the arm.
Okay.
I don't know what the exact numbers are, but conservative estimates are, maybe 1.1, 1.2 million in additional tax revenue every year just from Costco.
Just from Costco
Yeah.
alone? Okay.
And I think you asked about Walmart. Is that what, I think conservatively they're estimating 300,000 to 400,000 a year.
Okay, from there.
Yeah.
Okay. That's another.
And like I said, those are
10% or so.
conservative. So I personally, I think they're going to be more, but we don't want to count on that just in case. So better to be safe.
Very good. Another question was asked is, what ordinances can we enact to keep residences from leaving trash out in front of their properties?
Well, I believe there's already ordinances on the books. If people have a particular issue with people putting things, maybe neighbors or somebody on their street, leaving things out in front of their house. Obviously, it would depend on what it is, how long it's been there. But we have a complaint-driven code enforcement system here.
Can you explain that?
Well, we don't tell our code enforcement officers to go out, hey, go out and just look for any violation you can find and start citing people.
Okay.
What we do is they address issues that exist, with problem properties. So they're doing their own investigations and taking whatever course of action they need to do to correct issues that are ongoing. But what they do is when people call in and complain about something, they'll go out and investigate it and take the appropriate action. So it's a complaint driven. So if you see somebody with something that you think is an obvious violation of a code and you just drive by and look at it and nobody else says anything, it's going to continue to be there for the most part. The only time it might get addressed is, let's say a code enforcement officer goes to a street to address an issue that was reported and they see an obvious violation next door or nearby, then they'll address it. But like I said, they don't go out actively patrolling and seeking out code enforcement violations.
Okay, so if you see an issue, bring it up to code enforcement.
Exactly.
Right.
Call it in. Use your city source, your eCitizen app.
Okay.
That's a great app. If you don't have it on your phone and you live in Eastvale, you're missing out, because it's a great opportunity. If you see a piece of graffiti, if you see somebody that's thrown some debris along the side of the road, or you see a sign that's been knocked down, you pull out your phone, you take a picture, it automatically puts the GPS location in there, and you put in what it is and you send it in, it'll go to the appropriate agency, whether it's us or JCSD, and it'll get addressed.
Wow. So go on there, snap a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to say I'm on the corner of this or this. It just
Exactly.
acknowledges where you are with
Mm-hmm.
GPS.
Takes
That's
care
awesome.
of it for you.
Okay, great. That's good to know. Here's another question here. So going back to the lines of, again, that money, so what are we doing to keep the city safe from criminals and thieves? And we talked about our budget already. And what are things that we're doing to implement to stop the thieves and stop the crime?
Well, like I said, we went from 80 to 90 hours. We're hoping to increase that this year and into the future with the cameras. Obviously, it's an uphill battle. We're basically fighting with Sacramento. All the local municipalities are. Fortunately for us, we enjoy a lower crime rate than our neighbors all around us. But it's like I said, it's continuing to be a battle, because the philosophy in Sacramento right now is not to put criminals in jail. It's to see how many you can put back out on the street. The governor, he's in a fight with the courts, and the courts are telling him that he has to lower the prison population because it's overcrowded. Well, the governor refuses to build any new facilities or add on to any existing facilities. So he's not going to add more beds. So the only other choice is to put people back out on the street. And that's what was behind AB 109, Proposition 47, and recently Proposition 57. All of these are pushing more and more people that should be behind bars back out onto the streets. Mm-hmm. And we're suffering. A lot of places are suffering. I know after AB 109 and then Prop 47, according to one of the DAs up north, property crimes in the Bay Area went up 700%.
Wow.
So it's ridiculous. It's out of control. All we can do is take steps personally and as a community and at the local government level. We can try to beef up our police services, but really you have to come together as a community. Like I said, with the Ring doorbell, make your own security measures at home. Keep your eyes open. Report things, suspicious activity, anything you can do as a citizen to help out law enforcement. Yeah. It's going to go a long way to creating a bubble for our community.
Yeah, I think not staying silent, not
Yes.
just assuming that someone else is going to take care of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
If you see an issue, do something about it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate that. And we alluded to the Walmart's, center going into place. There's some people that don't like it, some people that like it. What is your stance on? Obviously, you guys approved it. So, what are your thoughts on Walmart coming into town?
Well, I mean, it'll. Yeah, I know I know you've said this before. You have either haters or people that love it, and there's a lot of people in the middle, but they just are kind of ambivalent on it. My feeling is there were a lot of issues brought up. People had problems with pollution and traffic and crime. And what you have to do, I mean, the way I did it is you have to remove that corporate name and say, what are we going to have? What impact is it going to have if we just put any type of commercial enterprise there of a similar, that provides similar products and services? There's statistically, there's no difference between a Walmart center and any other commercial retail center of similar size in crime activity. It's pretty much the same. You're going to have the same amount of traffic. You're going to have the same amount of pollution, regardless of what corporate name is on the location. So I just think that there's a lot of animosity because of the Walmart name. A lot of it has to do with union issues, but for me, I voted for it because of those issues. You're not going to put in another commercial retail establishment that's not going to have the same environmental impacts.
I mean, some people felt that, because Eastvale is, more affluent of a neighborhood, that would bring down, the overall values. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that that's not an argument that holds the kind of water that I think people sometimes want to believe, because I know somebody got up during one of the meetings and said that, there's no Walmarts in Irvine. Actually, they have two. There are two Walmarts in Irvine. There's a Walmart in Newport Beach. I don't see a correlation between home prices and Walmart. I think the community, if somebody brought this up, and it's true, the community makes the retail center. The retail center doesn't make the community. So if you have a community that's a more affluent middle class or affluent community, which I think we are, you're going to have a good store. Yeah. If you have an area that's kind of run down and there's some blight, like if you live in Victorville or something and you have a Walmart, you're going to have problems. Yeah. So it's the community, not the store.
Okay, very good. I appreciate that.
And back to the economic side of it, I think I did say that we expect to take $300,000 to $400,000. Okay.
Yeah, that's huge for the overall budget. Another question that was brought up is bike trails. There's a lot of bicyclists that live in Eastvale that would love to be able to see some more trails. Is the city doing anything about that?
Yeah, we did develop a bike master plan. That's going to be implemented over time. There's a lot of grant funding that's involved. We don't obviously want to have to pay for all of this out of our pocket. We try to be a really fiscally responsible city, so we're always looking for opportunities to bring in money other than taking it out of our general fund. So there's resources out there. We're trying to dip into those. Okay. If I could do a do-over as a community, obviously most of our community was established well before we incorporated. I personally think if you're going to have, I'm all for bike trails. I like it, but they should be bike trails. I don't like having the bike lanes on the roads. I would prefer to see them travel along natural easements within a community. That would be the safest way to do it, and less congestion on the roadways. But we do have a bike master plan, as I said, and we're working on implementing it. So we want to be a bike-friendly, pedestrian-friendly city.
Okay, so you see that next year, 2 years?
It's hard to say. I would have to. I'm not the city engineer, so a lot of it, like I said, is going to have to depend on funding and future development.
Okay, very good. What about that trail? When do you think that'll be finished? The trail that
Santa Ana River?
Yes.
Well, it's close to it.
All the way to the...
Well, I know there's one section where it doesn't connect, right? And that's right by the...
golf course.
Yes. Yeah, well, when Harupa community, when the Parks District finishes the second phase of their Eastvale Community Park there, okay, that's when that'll get completed.
Okay.
So, and there's a tunnel underneath Hamner. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that'll be accessible, and people can utilize that to continue up the trail.
Okay, so will that be able to then be connected up on the other side of the other park there that Norco owns?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's in Norco, so I don't know what their plans are. And I think, obviously the owner of Silver Lakes, that's dependent upon him and the city of Norco.
Okay. Well, that's the tunnel you're referring to, right?
Yes.
That
Yeah.
goes underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Very good. Last question.
Uh-oh.
What do you see the future of Eastvale? 5 years out, 10 years out, what does it look like to you? Or what do you hope for it to look like?
A thriving metropolis. No, it's I want us to be a safe, clean community where people want to be able to raise their kids here. We have a great education system, but I also want us to have a destination, something that brings people into our community to enjoy the same amenities we have as a community, which would be we're hoping in the future something like the Leal property,
Yeah.
that could be developed into something that's
Will that
amazing.
Will it ever get done?
It really.
Does he still want to have control over that whole thing? Is that what's stopping that from happening?
Well, yeah, it's obviously it's the owners, the family, when they decide what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. It's really the ball's in their court.
Is it?
Yeah. So when they decide they're going to do something and they actually sell it, hopefully, to a developer, then we can work with them to come up with a project that's just going to be something that everybody's going to be happy with.
So is it that they don't want to sell right now? Is that the?
I don't know what their personal situation is.
Okay.
I just know that it's in the works.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't. I know there's been Mr. Leal passed away, so.
He did.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
A while back, or?
A few months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's now that's obviously changed things. So.
Okay.
His family's dealing with that, and
Okay.
once they, decide what's going to happen and they can agree,
Sure.
then we'll see some movement.
Okay. I believe when I'd spoken to the Lewis project, that Lewis was very much interested and had made an offer.
Mm-hmm. I know they had in the past too.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they will again.
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
I'm sure there's a lot of interest.
Yeah. I mean, it's a prime spot. So
It is.
it'll be great to see what comes in there.
Yeah, it's a 160-acre lot. That's the size of Disneyland when it opened up.
Sure.
So there's a tremendous amount of potential there.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure how well Victoria Gardens has done.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great destination. I don't know how well the small stores in between do. And obviously, the larger stores like the Macy's and those types of places, I don't know how well they're doing nowadays as far as overall retail is concerned. So I'm not sure how excited they are to continue to grow. But as far as just a destination spot in general, I think that'd be a great thing to have.
Yeah, that's why it's really important not to just focus on the commercial retail aspect of it.
Right.
You got to incorporate all elements.
Sure.
So that's why, and that's how you create a destination, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
And then as far as don't mean to go over here, but the Limonite
Interchange.
congestion, yeah. When's that gonna happen?
Well, Limonite interchange, that's estimated to be an 18-month project.
Okay.
So, we know how that works. So,
Is that like
18 months that's a really optimistic.
18 months from now, or when it starts? It's
When
gonna
it
take
starts,
a year and
it'll
a
be
half.
an 18-month project.
And,
So,
and it's
it's supposed to start soon.
really
Yeah, I was thinking by the end of this year or 2018 is when
when
they
it'll
should
begin?
start. Yeah.
okay.
So they'll widen it, and if you've driven across to the Hoopa Valley side, you can see they already have all that road construction on Limonite,
Okay.
and that's all going to tie in. So the interchange project is going to go out to Wineville, and that's where it'll connect into the rest of the improvements
Okay.
on Limonite.
Okay. And that's all state driven, right? State funded?
Yeah,
Is
the
that correct?
majority of the funding, yeah.
Okay.
And then there's a small portion that has to get put in by the local government.
Okay. Very good. Well, I appreciate you taking this time, and you're a busy guy. Anything else you want to say to the viewers that you want to call out and let them know?
Hey, I want to thank everybody for the opportunity to actually serve the community. It really is a pleasure. I'm always open for comments, questions, and suggestions. So, message me on Facebook, reach out to me wherever. My phone number is out there. I'm sure a lot of you have it, so give me a call. I'm always willing to sit down and talk and discuss issues that you have. And I wish you great success. Thanks for having me. And it's been an enjoyable experience. Thanks.
Absolutely. And I know that working the council, being the mayor, sometimes feels like a thankless job, but I want to thank you personally.
I appreciate it.
A lot of members of the community here appreciate everything you guys do. So I want to thank you again. Thanks for watching again, and we'll see you next time. Take care.